Okay, I'll go ahead and we'll get started here. Appreciate everybody being here. I know city commission meetings aren't the most exciting thing to go to, so we always are glad to have visitors here, and so thank you for being here. So I'll call this meeting to order on July 26, 2022, and ask the city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Galt?
Present.
Commissioner Guess?
Present.
Commissioner Henderson? Commissioner Wilson? Mayor Bray?
Present. And I'll ask Commissioner Guest to do the invocation, and we'll remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord God, thank you for this day, and thank you for each and every person here, and we lift up everyone in the city and the county. We're all one big community, and just we pray for wisdom and discernment, and just let your time be honored. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Manager, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mayor, none this evening.
Okay, first on up we have a employee introduction related to a promotion. So I'll turn it over to Amy Clark. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission, City, yes, all of you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I wanted to introduce you to our newest supervisor in the Parks Maintenance Division, Greg Shelton. He actually joined us in 2018 as a laborer in the department, and he is now joining the management team, and we're very excited to have him. So, Greg? You want to say anything?
Oh, no.
She didn't tell you had to do a speech, did she?
No, I'm just glad to be here.
Well, Greg, we're glad you're here.
Yeah.
So, Parks Department is one of the city's most important assets. And so the way it runs, our citizens use all the parks, and the way we maintain the parks and the way we manage the parks, we're under a microscope all the time. So, anybody that's performing managerial duties, making sure that things get done is very important. So, congratulations, and we wish you good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, before we go to the agenda, I just thought I'd talk just for a couple of minutes, give everybody an update on where we are with a couple of important projects in the community. That's 911 and then the outdoor sports complex. So I'll take the outdoor sports complex first. We are working hard to finalize an interlocal agreement between the city and county. I know Darren Jordan, our city manager, is working with Steve Doolittle, Deputy Judge Executive, to hammer out some of the final details. Darren and I are actually going to meet this week, maybe with a couple other people, and just make sure we're all on the same wavelength. But we are making progress, and I don't want to say exactly when, but we're getting very, very close on that. So, and we're certainly prioritizing it. Related to 911, we had a 911 oversight committee yesterday, and we are, we think, within a couple of weeks of getting at least a draft of the RFP. And we heard a presentation yesterday from the Kentucky State Police, which made it pretty clear and pretty obvious that, at least to most of us, I think, or at least to me, that really wasn't in the short run a viable option. For us, that was the impression that I had. But the information was good, and I met today with actually a vendor who is interested in bidding on the system, and so I actually raised my knowledge of how things are going to go with this a little bit. And so it's very complex, very complicated, the 911, exactly the way we move forward. We've got a lot of decisions yet to make, but I'm encouraged by the progress that we're making. And I think there's a lot of people working really hard to make things happen there. And I think as the judge stated, our goal, as we stated together, our goal is to try to, have something by the end of the year, and we're pressing hard to try to accomplish that timeline. So I'm positive about both projects, and just wanted to give everybody in the community an update on where I thought we were. So with that, we'll move to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The city clerk will read the items recommended for approval unless any commissioner would like an item removed for separate discussion. So I'll ask city clerk to go ahead and read the items recommended for approval.
Approve minutes for the July 12, 2022 Paducah Board of Commissioners meeting. Receive and file documents. Personnel actions, a municipal order accepting the bid of Data Records Management Services Incorporated in the amount of $42,772 for digitization services for felony investigation files for the Paducah Police Department, ratifying the mayor's execution of the proposal and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order approving the execution of a grant application to obtain a 2022 through 2023 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant through the U.S. Department of Justice in the amount of $12,284 to be used by the Paducah Police Department for the purchase of armor that meets the National Institute of Justice Level 3 Special Threat Rating, accepting all awarded grant funds and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order approving a memorandum of agreement with William Evans for property tax and sanitation incentives related to the annexation of 1630 North Friendship Road and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order approving a fleet maintenance motorized equipment and emergency apparatus service agreement with the West Marshall Fire Department to provide fleet maintenance services at hourly rates and authorizing the execution of all documents related to same. A municipal order accepting the bid of Linwood Motors for sale to the City of Paducah, 6 police pursuit rated SUVs in an amount of $282,090 with option to purchase 2 additional SUVs at the bid price before June 30th, 2023 for use by the Paducah Police Department and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same. A municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Paxton Park Golf Board, DBA Paxton Park Municipal Golf Course in an amount of $85,000 for specific services and authorizing the finance director to transfer funds to said board. A municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with DWA Recreation in an amount of $38,605 for construction, installation of crumb rubber surface at Langstaff Park and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order authorizing an application for a 2022 Community Development Block Grant in the amount of $200,000 through the Department of Local Government for the Four Rivers Recovery Center for personnel expenses and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Paducah Alliance of Neighbors in the amount of $30,000 for specific services and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order adopting an amendment to the City of Paducah, Kentucky Administrative Plan for 2022 Housing Choice Voucher Program effective May 1st, 2022 for a Section 8 housing program as required by the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as revised. A municipal order adopting the McCracken County Area's Solid Waste Management Plan for 2023 through 2027 update. A municipal order authorizing the city manager to enter into contract negotiations on behalf of the City of Paducah for the preservation, assessment, and stewardship of certain historic assets and neighborhoods, and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for said services in an amount not to exceed $52,000.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. So just a word about the consent agenda. That was a pretty lengthy consent agenda, probably the lengthiest one maybe since I took office. And just to give everybody kind of an idea, the week before the commission meeting, we sit down and go over the agenda, and I try to determine what we should leave on the consent agenda and try to make a decision about anything that needs to be pulled off and talked about, so we can kind of talk about it openly. People in the community want to have a little more context about it. And if I think it's something that any of our commissioners, would want to weigh in on. Usually if it's a larger dollar amount, I try to, I'm cognizant of that. But at the same time, some of the things that we do that have larger amounts are pretty routine. We go through them kind of on an annual basis. So that's the process I go through. And, it's sort of my judgment, but this was a larger consent agenda tonight, so I guess you guys will give me a pass, on some of these tonight. So with that, we'll move to municipal orders.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Amending the FY 2022 through 2023 Position and Pay Schedule for the Full-Time Employees of the City of Paducah, Kentucky."
So moved.
Second.
So this is one of those items that I think we probably just need to make sure people know what's going on. And so tell us, Stephanie.
Absolutely. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. Typically, the position and pay schedule goes through twice a year. Once in the February timeframe to allocate positions upcoming for the new fiscal year for budgeting purposes, and then again in June, early June, for cost of living adjustments within the unions and other positions. So this one is a little off schedule, but the reason we are pushing this one through again, we have some title changes, and those happen through the job grade schedule, which will be coming next, and the position and pay schedule. So within the technology department, there are a couple title changes that we're going to make. We did adjust the range on two of those as well to better align with industry for recruitment efforts. We're also changing a couple titles in the planning department to better align with industry, public sector job titles to help with recruitment efforts. A few other things that happened on this one, we have updated our comp policy to allow for compression pay adjustments. And with that, there are a few compression adjustments for the senior admin positions, which is one position that spreads through all departments within the city.
So explain what a compression pay adjustment is.
Sorry. That's right.
It can be, within the language, it can list a number of things. If typically through recruitment, if we find that we are bringing somebody in at a slightly higher rate, we will look at experience among our current employees. So that's more on the retaining issue or efforts for employees. So recruitment efforts, it could be market adjustments that we're looking where industry, the pay just goes up. So that's generally the compression issues we run into.
So how many adjustments are there actually on this? How many people? Sorry.
Pull mine up. No,
Stephanie, when there 10?
I don't think it was that many.
Eight
I
or
want to
10?
say it was 7 or 8.
Okay. I know we had looked at, when we sat down and Stephanie and Michelle and I sat down to look through this and have the discussion and then also talk with the department directors as she did with it. There were several that we did look at. And so, and as Stephanie, mentioned and adequately explained, this is as much as a retainage as a recruitment effort also. The city went through the long process just in the last couple of years of reevaluating pay schedules and stuff. And then part of that, you're not going to hit everything exactly right, but and as the market changes, we did want to look at who we had on board, their time in service to the city, and what opportunities existed to recognize that, and where we had some newer ones coming in some of those classifications, and to be market ready, that we didn't want to discourage our existing team members from looking at an opportunity to stay with us and be a long-term team member.
Yeah, go ahead.
There were 8.
8, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry for the question. I understand completely, and I think it's a good discussion to have because, the city has 300 employees, 300 plus, and we have to compete in the marketplace for talent, for people that are working here and representing the city and taking care of our citizens in our department. So, this is a normal thing to go through, and I'll just point out in the technology department and in the planning department, we've had a lot going on. We've had a whole lot going on. So we've had some changes. We're making some, moves to make us more competitive, make sure we got the right people. So I appreciate you being here and kind of explaining it to us.
Absolutely. In this process, met with all the directors, and compensation used to be something you could look at every 3 to 5 years, and now it's all the time.
Right.
So,
Okay, let's call roll.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. And so now we still got Stephanie, and we'll let the city clerk read the next municipal order.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, a municipal order adopting an amendment to the FY 2022 through 2023 pay grade schedule for employees of the City of Paducah, Kentucky.
So move.
Second.
this one's a little bit easier to talk about. The job grade schedule puts the positions that we have into salary ranges with other positions within the city. So this one, again, goes through typically twice a year if we're just moving jobs from one grade to another and changing titles.
Okay. No questions from me.
Thanks.
Call roll.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie, for
Thank you.
being here. Okay, I'll ask the city clerk to read the next municipal order, and then Chief Kyle's here to talk about it a little bit.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, a municipal order authorizing the Paducah Fire Department to initiate a request for qualifications for a feasibility study related to fire station facilities and infrastructure.
So moved.
Second.
Chief?
Good
Welcome.
evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, and City Clerk. This is basically, Mayor, me taking your advice to make sure we address some things. We've had an ongoing conversation for a little while now about facilities and the age of our infrastructure that supports the services that we provide. And there's been questions over the last two budget cycles, well, really just the previous budget cycle to this one, about the one that I keep harping about, which is the replacement of Station 4, our lipstick on the pig, as Commissioner Galt coined it many years ago, and trying to address that. And in conversations with you all, you gave me direction about let's look at this in totality, okay? And so for this budget cycle, this is a part of starting to do that. This feasibility study will determine the need for the relocation or additions of existing facilities and incorporates our existing facilities condition survey that's already been done. It's a little, it's 2 to 3 years old now, but it's, the issues with the facilities for the most part have not changed in that time period. It's going to look at our compliance with NFPA 1500 and 1700, our equipment and operational needs, our community growth, annexation opportunities, and potential impact on our ISO rating. We have a rating of 2 right now. That's really good. We want to hang on to that. Our citizens benefit from that. The fiscal impact on the City of Paducah for maintaining or exceeding any ISO rating or cost benefit analysis that goes along with that. because that's a conversation that we're also having amongst this time. As the city grows, we still got to provide services. Our services have the potential to expand. What does that mean? What will that cost? Does it need to change at all? And the opinion or probable cost for any upgrades, relocations, or additions, including site selection if appropriate. And I got to admit, I didn't create this on my own. I stole it from my brother-in-arms from Hopkinsville. They're going through it right now. They already had it written up. I'm changing the name and putting Paducah on it and doing that. And I'm including the planning director and the public works director in this process because it's addressing facilities and the growth of our community, so that we make sure that we're looking at everything to bring you all something back to make a decision on.
So great. Thanks very much for going, moving forward with it. I think this discussion maybe started right after I got elected and you took me around and we looked at all the fire, all the stations and the maintenance issues we had, and then your plea for fire station number 4. And so, my approach at the time was, it's all sounds good, but let's validate.
Let's look at it.
Let's look at it and take, kind of an intelligent view of it, get somebody else's opinion. And so I appreciate you going to the trouble of doing it. And so what will be the time frame you think it'll take to get it back?
I don't know. I think we've got to have that conversation with them. Once we award the project, to someone, then we'll have an idea what kind of timeline we'll be on to get something turned around.
And that's a good question, Mayor, because just for the public's understanding, we're talking about this process as an RFQ. So we're going to seek qualifications for companies that can actually do the study for us. So we're not, at this point.
Yeah, we're not contracting with anybody to do it.
To do that. And so that's a good distinction at this point,
Yeah.
because so it's a little bit difficult to give a full time. So the RFQ, the request for qualifications, they'll have a certain time period for those to be turned in.
Yeah.
Once it's published, then we'll go through the vetting process, the review, and then make a recommendation of a company based on to the commission to enter into a contract and negotiations with on the next step.
And so when we pick a company to do an RFQ with, then that company then will take a look at everything, look at the number of calls going out from each of our stations.
All those things I just read off to you is going to include all that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we'll be back in front of you once we're ready to make an award and selection for you all to approve. And I'm sure they'll have a highlight or two to talk about while they're here.
All right.
But it's important to include those things that we anticipate in the RFQ, because we want to get the broadest net cast possible, to your point, Mayor, of getting, somebody that can do that. We don't want to issue an RFQ and then say, hey, we want this actually added on, and it's not something that's in that scope that they didn't plan on, and maybe, they were out of their league a little bit. So we want to include all the information in it on the RFQ so we get responsive bids back.
Yeah, the short boiled down version is we're asking them to evaluate us to see where we are.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Questions?
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chief. You can call roll, please.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, I'll ask the city clerk to go on and read the next municipal order.
I propose motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing and Approving a Contract for Services Between the City of Paducah and Bacon Farmer and Workman Engineering and Testing Incorporated in an amount of $33,500 for the design and construction administrative services for the development of pickleball courts in Noble Park, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same."
So moved.
Second.
Mayor and Commission, this is the next step, similar to what we were just talking about with the feasibility study for the fire department. This is the next step in when earlier this summer we issued an RFP for administrative services. We did receive the one back from Bacon Farmer and Workman for the design, to put together the RFP, the design of what we would be looking at issuing, and then also for construction management or administrative services on the back end of that. And so that is our recommendation tonight. Also, we had two additives to that, because when we're going through this process in relationship to the design, we want to see what our cost might be for not only the pickleball courts, if we so choose to add lighting to that design, but also the tennis courts there in Noble Park also, what that cost would be. And so we thought that adding that into this part of the process would give us that data point to make an informed decision. And if, if funding did allow for us to go ahead, we could also, while they were on site doing one, could do both if we so choose.
We don't have lights on the tennis courts now, is that right?
There are, but they need severely be upgraded.
Okay, okay. Well, in the interest of full disclosure, I definitely wanted this one to be talked about because there's a lot of interest in pickleball out there. So I wanted our citizens to know, I want the community to know that, that we're listening, and I saw something on the county's agenda, their discussion from last night where they're considering 8 pickleball courts.
They're converting former tennis courts into pickleball courts.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, there's a lot of interest. The sport's growing, and it's something that we have to adjust to. So.
And so this process is entering in the contract, and then the next step upon approval tonight will then to finalize the RFP to be put out for bid. And we'll be looking at eight courts in the vicinity there of the tennis courts at Noble Park.
Okay. Questions from anybody? Okay, I'll ask our city clerk to call roll.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Guess,
Aye.
Mayor Bray.
Aye. Okay, city clerk, you can read the next one.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing an Application for a 2022 Community Development Block Grant in the amount of $1.5 million to the Department for Local Government for the Senior Center of Paducah, McCracken County, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same."
So moved.
Second?
So Mayor and Commission, Hope has joined us at the podium tonight. This is Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, the acronym that is more formally called, requires that a local government entity be an applicant of record on that, much like in the consent agenda, which we did on behalf of the Center Point Recovery Center, as being the applicant of record. So the Senior Center has identified a piece of property that they would like to secure for the development of a new senior center. Part of that process would be to help them secure funding for that. And so, there's an opportunity for us to proceed with Community Development Block Grant and working with the AD district, and Hope, I'll let you take it from there.
Okay, yes, so this particular grant is for $1.5 million. It's going to go toward their Phase 1 development. Their purchase of the land would need to be in October. So this would go toward their Phase 1, which is a 7,000 square foot building. Their long-term plan is to have 2 buildings on the property and get that developed, but this will go towards the first phase of that. And like he said, we are on the writing of it, partnering with Purchase Area Development for that.
So we have representatives here from the senior center, and maybe just to give a quick overview of kind of what brought us to this day is that the senior center, they conduct their operations in the same building that our Parks Department is in, which eventually is going to move out of. We're going to renovate the Cherry Civic Center, which we are, I just found out today, are about 95%, close to 95% through construction documents. So we're not too far away from putting out bids on that. But at any rate, when we finally vacate that building, they'll be left in there by themselves. It's an old building with a lot, with excessive heating costs, and they really are looking for another alternative. They've been looking at buildings, I know, all over town. Thought they've secured a couple, and they've had them in this market. They've had them purchased out from underneath them, and I know that's been very frustrating to them. So we're doing our best to help them get into a location. I think it'd be interesting. Not sure if everybody understands how many seniors that we actually serve over there on a daily basis. Christine, would you like to come up and just give us an overview of what's going on at the senior center? I think it might be interesting to people. David? Thank you guys for being here, by the way.
Thank you.
I guess I should have given you a heads up that I didn't know I was going to ask you to come up.
Well, first, thank you for applying for the grant for us. It's something that we've been working toward for a long time, and something that our local senior community really needs and deserves. They deserve a clean, safe, newer, and improved facility to kind of enjoy the rest of their lives. So right now, with the, I know we think the pandemic's kind of winding down, and it really isn't, especially for our senior population. They're still a very vulnerable population. They're still at high risk during the pandemic. So we've just seen a huge increase in the demand for meals and for all of our services across the board, but mainly our meal program has just really exploded in the last 2 years. So right now, for our Meals on Wheels program, we're serving about 450 seniors. And that includes, we do serve in Marshall County as well, so that's McCracken and Marshall together. It's about 60 clients in Marshall, and then the rest in McCracken. We do serve meals 5 days a week. They're hot, nutritious meals that we deliver to these clients' homes. Sometimes these clients, this is the only person they see or talk to all day. So it's not just about a meal, it's also about that human connection and contact. And then for our on-site lunch, we serve about, it varies depending on what's on the menu. I'd say between 40 and 60 clients a day come in for the on-site lunch, the seniors.
How does that compare to pre-COVID? I mean, pre-COVID, what was it around about the same? Are we back up?
Pre-COVID, our in-person attendance was higher. We had more seniors coming in person, so I'd say pre-COVID for on-site lunch was close to between 75 and 100 on some days, probably on cheeseburger days or meatloaf. And then for home-delivered meals, we've tripled our numbers on home-delivered meals.
Is that right?
So, and a lot of our seniors that used to come in on-site for lunch still don't feel safe, or maybe, don't feel safe coming out in public or being around large gatherings still. They're still sheltering at home. So, and we're going to see, I anticipate it's going to be that way for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Who's eligible to receive is there any eligibility requirements?
So under the current federal COVID emergency order, the requirements to qualify for Meals on Wheels has been waived as temporarily. Normally, it's the client must be 60 or over. They have to have, they go through a health assessment, and they have to have very severe health conditions that prevents them from cooking or driving or feeding themselves. Right now, with the federal emergency order that we're under, those requirements are waived, and the only requirement is that they are over 60. So that's why we've seen a huge increase in these demand for meals, because the eligibility is much more relaxed.
Talk a little bit about how you're funded.
We are funded under the Title C3 grant. It covers our meal program, and then the Title B covers our activities, health promotion, telephone reassurance, and transportation. We do have a contract with PATS to give our senior clients rides to pharmacy, grocery stores, the bank, the senior center, and then also private donations and fundraising.
Mm-hmm. So I know we've talked a lot about the expense of building a new building, and I know that you guys have kind of talked about fundraising and that sort of thing. Have you come along with any kind of plan yet, or?
We have talked about, at our meetings, we discuss having a fundraising plan, and we do have a plan coming together. It is a little daunting. This is something new that, we've done smaller fundraising, but nothing at, this size. So it is a little bit new for us and for the board, so, but we do have a plan in place.
I think the senior center, I really didn't know a lot about it actually until I met Christine and early on, and I think a lot of people probably don't really understand everything that you do over here. So I think socializing the services that you do perform, getting out, telling more people about it, fundraising part of that. But I think socialization of what you're doing there, everything from newspaper articles, social media, these are things that I think can help you if you'll get the word out, so.
Mhm. I think, sorry, also, word of mouth from the seniors themselves,
Sure,
I think.
yeah, absolutely. They're probably your best soldiers.
They are.
Absolutely, so, yeah, I'd use that asset for sure, so. Commissioner Guess or Galt, questions or?
My stepdad, he went 2 or 3 days a week at least. He loved it over there, playing cards, and it was part of his life.
I'm so glad we could be a part of that, part of his life.
Okay, well, thank you very much for being here.
David, did you have anything you wanted?
Well, hey, David Troutman, Board Chair of the Senior Citizen Center. First of all, I just want to thank you, Mayor, City Jordan, the Commission's clerk. You've heard us. We've had several meetings. We couldn't do this without the city, or the county for that matter. But we really do appreciate the legwork, the time, the application that you're going to submit on behalf of the city. We just appreciate it and appreciate the support.
Okay.
Thank you, David.
Well, thank you for your leadership, and, the salary's not real high for your board seat, so we really do appreciate the hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, City Clerk, would you call roll?
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.
Thank you, Hope.
Thank you, Hope. Okay, we have one ordinance to adopt tonight, and I'll ask the city clerk to read it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance extending the boundary of the City of Paducah, Kentucky by annexing certain property lying adjacent to the corporate limits of the City of Paducah and defining accurately the boundary of said property to be included within the said corporate limits. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah hereby approves the consensual annexation of certain tracts of property contiguous to the present city limits located at 3520 Olivet Church Road containing approximately 1.176 acres of land.
So moved.
Second.
So we had this reading a couple of weeks ago. This is a request from the owner. Do we have any questions or before we call roll?
Thank
Okay.
you, though.
All right, I'll ask City Clerk to call roll, please.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. And maybe before I ask City Clerk to read this one, this is, we're going to reintroduce the replacement telecommunications ordinance. We introduced this a few meetings ago. We had some community input, so we took a little extra time to try to listen to that input and integrate some of that into the ordinance. So with that, I'll ask the city clerk to please read.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 108 Telecommunications of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance repeals and replaces Chapter 108 Telecommunications of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah in its entirety. The purpose of this ordinance is to establish local policy, guidelines, and standards and timeframes with respect to the regulation of telecommunications providers and to promote competition in telecommunications. Additionally, this ordinance allows the City of Paducah to permit and manage reasonable access to the rights-of-ways of the city for telecommunication purposes and conserve the limited physical capacity of rights-of-way held in public trust by the city. This ordinance creates a non-exclusive franchise allowing for telecommunications providers to bid for the right to construct, erect, operate, and maintain upon, through, along, under, and over the rights-of-way of the City of Paducah a telecommunications system. This ordinance requires fair and reasonable compensation to the city and its residents of the city for permitting private use of the rights-of-way, including an applicable fee in a non-refundable amount of $5,000 and franchise fee payments as set out herein. As required by KRS 83A.060, the following sections of ordinance are hereby set forth and shall be published in their entirety. 108-30. Minimum annual franchise fee means $6,000 in the first year of the grantee's franchise and shall be increased by $1,000 annually. 108-31, application shall be accompanied by a non-refundable application fee of $5,000 payable to the city. Said application fee shall not be considered franchise fee payments. The franchise fee imposed under this ordinance is not in lieu of any tax, fee, or other assessment except as specifically provided in this ordinance or as required by applicable law. By way of example, and not limitation, permit fees and business license tax are not waived and remain applicable as provided by law. Additionally, the city may at any time impose any fees or taxes consistent with state or federal law, including but not limited to the property taxes and occupational license fees. Grantees shall pay a quarterly franchise fee to the city, which shall be equal to the greater of A, the minimum annual franchise fee as defined herein and amended from time to time, or B, an amount equal to either 1, 5%, of the grantee's gross revenues, which shall be payable quarterly and may be passed through the grantee's customers if grantee provides telecommunication services to customers within the City of Paducah, or 2, an amount equal to $2 per lineal foot of facilities plus $3,000 per each wireless facility other than small wireless facilities, and $270 per each small wireless facility if the grantee does not provide telecommunication service to end users within the City of Paducah. Grantee's first franchise fee payable under this ordinance shall be paid to the city 45 days after the city gives notice to the grantee that the city has exercised its constitutional right to collect franchise fees. Such payment will be prorated for the remaining calendar year. Thereafter, grantee shall pay each franchise fee as applicable in accordance with the schedule below. Minimum annual franchise fee payments, if applicable, to the city shall be paid on or before April 15th of each calendar year during the term of the franchise. Gross revenue-based franchise fee payments, if applicable, to the city shall be computed based on the grantee's gross revenues from each calendar year, quarter period, January 1st through March 31st, April 1st through June 30th, July 1st through September 30th, and October 1st through December 31st, and paid on or before the 45th day following each calendar quarter period during the term of the franchise. Facilities-based franchise fee payments, if applicable to the city, shall be computed based on grantee's lineal foot of facilities in the City of Paducah as of January 1st of each calendar year, and paid on or before April 15th of each calendar year during the term of the franchise. Payment not received by the city by the due date shall be assessed in interest equal to the lesser of either 1% per month or the highest rate permitted by law. Interest rate shall be compounded annually. Interest shall be due on the entire late payment from the date on which the payment was due until the date on which the city receives payment. Prior to making each payment to the city, grantee shall file with the city a written report containing an accurate statement in summarized form, as well as in detail, of its calculation of the amount of the payment verified by an officer or other authorized representative of the grantee, setting forth its gross revenues according to their accounting subdivisions, and any deductions claimed for the period upon which the payment is computed. Such report shall be in the form of satisfactory to the city. If any franchise fee is owed to the city, upon reasonable notice, the city shall have the right to inspect the grantee's income records, the right to audit and recompute any amounts determined to be payable under the franchise granted pursuant to this ordinance, provided, however, that such audit shall take place within 12 months following the close of each of the grantee's fiscal years. If as a result of such audit or review, the city determines that the grantee has underpaid its fees to the city in any 12-month period by 10% or more, then in addition to making full payment of the relevant obligation, grantee shall reimburse the city all expenses incurred as a result of an audit or review of such payments shall be made within 30 days following written notice to the grantee by the city, which notice shall include a copy of the audit report and copies of all invoices for which the city seeks reimbursement. If any franchise fee is owed to the city, in the event that any franchise fee payment or recomputed amount is not made to the city on or before applicable dates heretofore specified, interest shall be charged from such date as defined in this ordinance. No accord in satisfaction, no acceptance by the city of any franchise fee or any other payment shall be construed as an accord that the amount paid is in fact the correct amount, nor shall acceptance of any franchise fee or any other payment be construed as a release of any claim of the city. The city reserves the right to acquire the grantee to collect any consumer or other tax or other fee that may be imposed by the city, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, or the federal government on telecommunications services. Notwithstanding any other provision of this ordinance, the grantee shall be required to pay the government an amount intended to adequately compensate for its permitting and inspection of the grantee's construction activities in the rights-of-way pursuant to the code, and all attorney's fees that the government may incur relating to franchising process, including not limited to any attorney's fees incurred relating granting of the franchise and any transfer, renewal, or modification of the franchise.
So moved.
Second.
Wow, that was a lot. So, thank you, Lindsay, for that. So I don't know if there's any discussion tonight, but we'll have it up for adoption in 2 weeks, and so we'll make sure it gets socialized. But we did spend a lot of time and effort, trying to listen to some of the input. So I think we've come up with a balanced solution. So, okay. With that, we have a couple of discussion items, and we'll turn it over to our city clerk, and I'll let you take it away.
All right. Thank you all so much for allowing me to talk to you tonight about two different items. I'll start with our a review of our 311 and an update on where we are right now. Get this pulled up. Okay. So if you'll remember, I talked to you a while back when we were just going live with Paducah 311. We actually launched that to the public on January 26th. So we are exactly 6 months in, which is great that it fell on tonight that we were able to talk about it. So I started with the slide. You all know what 311 is, but I wanted to just put it out there again for any citizens listening. This is a portal online and an app that you can download on your phone or other device that allows you to enter requests directly to the city. It's another way to contact the city. It can be downloaded at no charge via the Google Play Store or the App Store. And you can just carry this around with your phone everywhere you go. And if you see something or need something, need to enter a request, you can just put it in there. The public can access it also online from their computers at paducah311.paducahky.gov. You can link there from the city's website or can go directly to that link. You can create an account or you can report anonymously. So there's several different ways to report. So these are the types of requests that you can put in. What we have in the system right now, we have abandoned vehicle, brush pickup, city employment, code enforcement, reports of dead animals in the right-of-way, finance and general inquiries, parks and police requests, right-of-way obstructions, potholes, program and event inquiries, and then property maintenance. So those are the different types of requests that you can put in the app or online. So I wanted to give you kind of some of the statistics that we're working from the 6-month view, where we've come so far. So the total number of requests that have been put in both the online portal and into the app is 582 requests. The number of unique users that have entered requests is 320. So that means that we have 320 people who have been in there, put a request in, and so several of those have been using it multiple times in that time frame. And then we have a number of app downloads is 429. So we have 429 unique users who have actually downloaded the app to access Paducah's 311. So we have some people in there that haven't used it yet, but have downloaded it for when they need it. And then you see a chart of our monthly usage. You can see each month it has been going up. And I think a lot of that is actually due to brush pickup. It is hugely popular for brush pickup. And as you'll see from these two charts here, what you see in the green is brush pickup. So the online portal, we've had 223 requests come in online and 359 come in through the app. So I think the app is a little bit more popular, but people are using both of them. And it's really great to see. So that's kind of a breakdown of the different types of requests, how many we've gotten in these 6 months. And as you can see, people just love entering brush pickup requests this way. So these are the promotions we have done to date to get people involved and get people using 311. We have a service request link at the bottom of every page on the city's website. So no matter where you go on the website, you can get there. We've got online services at the top of the home page of the website. Pam has done radio ads, so with Bristol Broadcasting, WKMS, NPR, multiple ads have gone out on the radio. I don't know if you all had a chance to hear them. They were really, really cute, though. We have email campaigns that have gone out in January when it was first launched, and then commission meeting overview of 311 in February, and then multiple news releases on brush collection in March and May. And then Pam has been running some social media campaigns as well, January, February, March, and May of this year to continue to get more people to use it. So just for what's next, we've got additional promotions that we plan on doing in the coming months. Pam is going to work with WKCTC and create a promotional video to get some more interest in it, to kind of show people what it's about. And then we'll continue to do promotion through word of mouth, the website, and social media. Keep pushing that out, and each time we, push out, it seems like we get an influx of more people using and downloading it. And then we're going to work on some feedback gathering related to it this fall. I'm looking to do a survey with a prize drawing to better understand who is using it, why they like to use it. If you're not using it, why aren't you using it? And to understand how we can get more users in there. Maybe we get information saying, I would like to use it, but I don't see this type of request. And maybe that's something that we can implement. And just looking for additional use types and some expanded usage. Our police department just came on board and is now in the app. You can request general police inquiries. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the 311 team. This takes a lot of people in this system to make this work. So I just wanted to call out from administration, Michelle, Emma, Lori, Pam, all of their hard work around this. If something breaks, Emma and Lori go and fix it. Pam with all of the promotions. Public Works, of course, they get all of the requests for brush pickup and right-of-way obstructions. Fire prevention, basically every single member of fire prevention is in the system and using it. Human Resources, Parks Department, Police Department, and Customer Experience all spend a good amount of time working in this system. So just wanted to give a shout out to all the people that make it happen. And with that, I'll take any questions that you have about it.
I love it.
My wife uses it a lot.
Good.
Yeah, thank you, Lindsay, for getting all that data together. I know it wasn't easy, so thank you for being persistent, staying after it. This is one of those citizen services, I think, that, knowing technology the way I do, people don't adopt right away. They don't adapt and they don't adopt. So, but I think repetition, getting in front of people, just looking for opportunities to, even help somebody, like when somebody comes in, Alex or some of them down there, just promoting it. Have you taken a look at the 311 app? Let me show you how easy it is to download. Let me show you how it operates. That kind of extra care, I think could go a long way as well, So anytime we have a chance to promote it, I think it's valuable. because it puts a tool in the hands of our citizen that gives them, really instantaneous contact with us. And then, of course, follow through is critical. So if somebody sends something, making sure that we actually act upon a request is important. But I know where our follow through is impeccable, which creates confidence, for people using the app. And so it's like you said, it's a total team effort, and we appreciate so much all your effort.
Thank you. And some of the best feedback that I've gotten is, I called Trish last week before and she's in our Public Works Department. And she gets all of the brush requests pretty much that come in. And I called her and I said, what have you heard? What are people saying? And she said, the main thing people tell me is it's easier than making a phone call. They can do it any time of day, and they love that about it. So that's one of the big things that we've heard back.
Yeah, that's worth repeating. Easier than a phone call, and you can do it 24 hours a day. So that should be our theme.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks for that update. Okay. You're still on.
So this is not as exciting, but I wanted to give you kind of an update of where we are related to our Code of Ordinances revision that's coming up this year. I've talked to you before about it. We actually did our last recodification. It was a full recodification back in 2018. This is required every 5 years for us to look at our Code of Ordinances. The purpose of that is to eliminate what's redundant, what's obsolete, what's inconsistent with state and federal law. So we do a huge review of our entire code every 5 years. So the next review is coming up for due June 2023. Would be exactly 5 years from the last time that we've done it. And we have that budgeted in this fiscal year. And our vendor that we use is Municode, and they are powered through Civic Plus, and they help us with our reviews of this. And this is what they do. They help cities across the United States do these type of reviews. So I talked to them a few weeks ago, to Municode, and they have a couple different options that we need to look at. There is the legal review and there is the full recodification. And those are two different levels. So the legal review, the timeline for something like that is going to be 6 to 8 months. The cost is around $9,900. Basically what we get from them, they take our entire code, they sit down with their attorneys, and they review the entire code for updates that need to be made. And they provide the city with a memorandum that shows what updates we need to make. And then we take that, we review that internally, our staff reviews it, we might have our city attorney review it as well, and then we adopt individual ordinances to make those updates as needed. So that's the legal review. The other option is another full recodification, which is what we did in 2018. That timeline is longer, it's 12 to 15 months. The cost is significantly more, it's $29,000. And what we get from them is that same memorandum, but also they go in and they do all of the strike-throughs and the underlines of the full code for us. And then we take that and the city commission adopts that as one large repeal and replace ordinance.
So they actually provide the verbiage.
The full verbiage to us, exactly. So in talking with them, their recommendation was to begin with just the legal review. They said that most cities don't need to do a full recodification. They can just do the legal review, especially since we just did it in 2018. We would get that memorandum, we would review that, and decide whether or not at that point we wanted to move forward with a full recodification. So if they came back and said to us, okay, you have a few things here and there that are small changes, that's not too difficult. We adopt a few ordinances to make those updates. If they were to come back and say there are huge amounts of things that need to change, at that point we might want to go forward with a full recodification. And at that point, the $9,900 we've already spent goes toward that recodification full cost. But that was their recommendation, since we just did it in 2018, to start there, and hopefully there would not be too many things to update.
Yeah, since we just did it, 4 years ago, I'd be surprised if there was
Yes.
that much.
Exactly. So the legal review would satisfy the KRS requirement and allow us to do it with less time and less cost.
So that would be your recommendation?
Yes.
And under that determination, because of the costs, we can do that internally. It wouldn't take official action by the commission. It can be handled as city manager's office.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you for that. So we do have an executive session tonight, but before that, any comments from city manager?
None.
Comments from our commissioners? Okay, then I will entertain a motion to go into executive session. Tommy, hang on for just a minute. I want to talk to you before you leave, please. Tommy? Didn't want you to slip out too quick.
Don't make a new plan, Stan.
I propose motion that the board go into closed session for discussion of matters pertaining to the following topics: future sale or acquisition of a specific parcel of real estate as permitted by KRS 61.8101B.
So move.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Guess,
Aye.
Mayor Bray.
Aye.